right. And then let me know when you guys can see our logo and the hello screen. Thumbs up. All right, awesome. So real quickly, just tell you a little bit about us. So my name is William Donnell, and I'm one of the founders of Sodium Halogen. And if you didn't already know it, then I'm really a fan of gifts. And we take the work that we do very seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. And we are part of the family of firms for ATA. And so ATA is kind of the logical side, the left side of the brain, and then we're more the creative, kind of the crazy side of the brain over here. So it makes for a great partnership there. So real quickly, what Sodium Halogen does is we're really kind of creative problem solvers, and we focus on our clients' business goals that they have. And so I'm sure you have business goals that you're trying to hit. And so we find a way to use those. And typically it comes in the form of either strategy, software, apps, or even virtual reality. But the more interesting pitch is if you guys are probably familiar with Thor from the Avengers. So Thor had a problem because his hammer got destroyed and he needed to defeat the bad guy that's on the right, Thanos. So he went to this planet with a weird dwarf who made a new hammer for Thor. And so we are the weird dwarf that makes awesome tools to help our clients win the day. And so we help create those awesome tools, typically using technology. Super quickly, we've done work with like 3 companies you've actually heard of and a bunch of companies that you haven't heard of. A lot of them are internet startups. And one of the coolest things I ever got a chance to do is to go to the White House and help teach some of the principles from Silicon Valley to government, to help them think a little more agile, to think a little bit more like how Silicon Valley might solve problems. And so it was awesome for me to get a chance to go and help facilitate with that. So if you have your phones out, one of the things we're going to do today is use our Brainstorm app that we created. So go ahead and pull out your phone, and you can point it at your screen to the little QR code. One of the things about COVID and the pandemic is now everybody actually knows what a QR code is, and who knew they would be relevant, but it turns out they are. So go ahead and point your phone at the screen, and then it should pull up a link for you to go to the App Store and download this if you have your phone with you. All right, I'll come back around to this slide in a little bit. Has everybody gotten that so far? All right, great. I'll come back to it one more time. You'll get another opportunity. But while you're downloading that, I'll talk through really quickly. So you've probably been in a situation before where you are talking with other people and you think, okay, I'm glad we all agree about this. We're all thinking about the same thing. But if you can look inside their heads, you'd see that you're actually thinking about 3 very different things. So if you can take those ideas out of your head and put them on paper so you can share with the rest of the team, then you realize, oh, we're not talking about the same thing. But it gives you the opportunity to iterate and create something together that you might never have come up with on your own. And so then you all have the same idea here. And so we use interactive exercises in order to be able to take those ideas out of your head and share them with the rest of your team members. And so we've led probably almost 100 workshops now that we've done to create, vet, and develop internal service or product ideas. And one thing that we found after doing this all over the country is that anybody can come up with creative ideas. And so that's what we're going to do today is we're going to teach you a formula for how you can come up with creative ideas. And we're going to do that with brainstorming. So here's that slide one more time. If you didn't catch it before, then you've got your phone out, go ahead and point it there. And you should be able to download the Brainstorm app. Okay. So I've done a variation of this exercise before in Memphis at the Memphis office of ATA, and I handed out these sheets. But one thing that COVID has taught us is that we have to continue to be creative and find different ways of doing things. And so how can we do some of the things that used to be in real life? How can we make that work when we are not all physically in the same space? And so the Brainstorm app we created is one of those things, but then there's also good old paper. So if you've got a piece of paper that's there in front of you, what you can do is just draw a line, dividing it in half, and then another line kind of dividing it into 4 quadrants. Or if you don't have that, you just have a piece of paper, that's fine. We're just going to write some ideas down. That'll give you a space to kind of get those ideas out of your head and onto paper. And so what we're going to do is we're going to think a little bit about how technology could help a company. So you can either think about your own company that you have, or maybe you're thinking about a client that you have, and you're thinking about how you could solve a problem for them. And so this is a very shortened version, should take us about 15 minutes to run through this. But it's a very shortened version of a longer exercise, but it can help us kind of stretch our creative muscles. And so we're going to do a little stretching right now. And so what our team did is we thought, okay, what is the pattern we've seen as we've worked with these companies? And really, it falls into one of these three categories when we're building an app. It either has something to do with employee training, or maybe it's customer support, or it has something to do maybe with billing or keeping up with receipts. So we want to move really quickly this morning, so we're just going to pick one, and we're going to choose customer support. So an example of how you can use technology to help with your customer support comes from Domino's. So Domino's, everybody's familiar with them. They're the largest pizza company in the world, and they now have 15 digital ways that people can order pizza. And as a result, now they say 50% of their orders come from all of these digital ways to people ordering pizzas. So they have really kind of transformed and run ahead of everyone else, because it's just so easy to order from Domino's with using a digital product that's there. So here's what I want you to do. To begin with, if you've got this piece of paper that's there in front of you, or you just have a blank piece of paper and a pen, then I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I'm going to play some music, and I want you to think about 10 apps that you have used recently. So they could be on your phone, it could be on your browser. Some examples might be Outlook. It's really easy to send emails, or Instagram, or it could be that you've ordered food from Chick-fil-A online. But I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes, and I'm going to play some music, and I want you to try to come up with at least 10 great apps that you've done. So I'm going to start the timer. And here we go. All right, about 30 seconds left. Try to push out 1 or 2 more ideas. Try to get all 10 if you can. All right. So how many of you guys, quick show of hands, how many of you were able to come up with 10 different apps that you use? All right, a couple of you, awesome. It can be challenging. One of the reasons we want to come up with, try to come up with 10 is to exhaust the creative mind. Sometimes the best ideas are the first ones you come up with. Sometimes the best ideas are the ones that take a while. So maybe you thought of the same apps that I did. I'll just kind of mention a couple of them to you. I mentioned the Chick-fil-A ordering app before. If you've used that before, it's pretty magical. I don't know how they make it so easy, but it's just really simple to be able to do that. Also Google Calendar. I know that's a really simple app. It's easy to kind of take for granted, but I use that all the time, and it just works the way I want it to. And then we're listening to music on Spotify. That's one of the ways I'm able to get work done, is I put in headphones, crank up some music, and work on that. So I've kind of shared those. So we've thought of 10 great applications. Now what we want to do is, because we're thinking about customer service, let's come up with 10 customer service experiences that we've had recently. So you can just kind of create 1 through 10 on your piece of paper there. And I'm going to set the timer for another 2 minutes. And we're going to try to come up with 10 great things about customer service. Ready? Go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. So were you able to come up with 10? This might be kind of challenging to do in 2 minutes, but some of the ones that I came up with, and maybe you had the same ones as me, thinking about Chick-fil-A app before. Another part of a great customer service experience is when you go to Chick-fil-A, the drive-through, and it's my pleasure. That whole thing is great. Amazon's return policy, where I know that I can order something and they'll give me a return box so I can send it back. Also, if I have any kind of a problem with an Apple product, then their customer service is really great too, kind of going to the Genius Bar and having someone check it out right there. So that's a great customer experience as well. So now we've thought of some great apps and we've thought of some great customer service ideas. So now we want to kind of think about how to put those two things together. How might we use technology to improve the customer service experience? And so one of the things we found is that a great way to come up with good ideas is to get all of the bad ideas out of the way first. And so this is kind of fun. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you another 2 minutes and I want you to come up with 5 terrible customer service ideas, right? So maybe, and here's the great thing is that you cannot fail at this, right? Like failure is success. If you come up with terrible ideas, that's what we're going for. We want to get those out of the way. So maybe an idea of a terrible customer service idea is that there's only one person in the organization that you could talk to, or you have to pay $1 every time that you send an email to them to get a response. Something that would be just a terrible customer service idea. I'm going to give us another 2 minutes and see if you can come up with maybe 5 terrible ideas. Here we go. Okay, all right. So that was hopefully somebody came up with some really terrible ideas of things to not do. I remember my dad has told me that no one is useless, William. They can always be an example of what not to do. So maybe some of these ideas we came up with are examples of what not to do. So here's a couple that I came up with. One of them is that before you can talk to a human, you have to press at least 4 menus in the phone tree, right? Like press 3 and then press 5 and then press 7 before you can talk to a human. Or maybe anytime you have an appointment to get an oil change on your car, I mean, anytime you're going to do that, you have to make an appointment like 2 weeks in advance. And who thinks about that ahead of time? You wait until it gets to however many thousand miles, right? Or you have to fill out a form every time that you're going to talk to someone. So those are some terrible ideas that are there. And so now that we've come up with the terrible ideas and we've got those out of the way, then we're ready to start. We've now stretched our brains and we're ready to start thinking about some good ideas. And so this is where we're going to use that Brainstorm app that's there. So if you have your phone, go ahead and fire up your Brainstorm app. And while you're getting that going, if you're doing this with your team and you don't have the Brainstorm app, I want to show you the old school way super quickly. So you can use sticky notes. And the idea is that you just have one idea per sticky. And so we encourage folks to make a grid of stickies that's there in front of them. And then you set a timer just like we did here. And you set a timer just like you did here, and it's one idea per sticky. And then that allows you to kind of get those ideas out of your head. Another thing is, don't worry about whether they're good ideas or bad ideas. You can sort those out later. So this is called the dump and sort method. First, we dump all the ideas out of our head, and then we figure out which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones. So if you have that app going, you should come to a screen that looks kind of like the one that is here in front of you. And so what we want to do is think about ideas for customer service. So go ahead and type that in when it gives you the prompt. Pick a topic, ideas for customer service. Once you got that in, it should take you to a screen that looks like this. And if a couple of people with their that have their cameras on, if you can just give me a quick kind of thumbs up to let me know that you're on this screen, go ahead. Great. Then go ahead and choose 3 minutes that's there, because we want to have a little bit of time to think about this. And then you can go ahead and hit the start button. So remember, one idea per sticky. You just type them in, and then when you hit go in the bottom right, it'll bring up another sticky for you. And so you want to, don't worry about whether they're good ideas or bad ideas. Just go. And then when you're done, somebody can give me a thumbs up that their time is up. I'm going to play a little bit more music here. You should probably have around 30 seconds left, maybe something like that. Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys came up with some good ideas. Since we're in the app here, the next screen you should see is it encourages you to pick your top 3 ideas. So this is that dump and sort method, right? So we've dumped out all of the good ideas, and then you should come to a screen like this. And if you don't come here, you can hit the finish early button. It'll take you to the screen. But you'll notice you can kind of scroll through and see all the things that you put in, and then you'll just tap the ones that you want, and it'll put a check mark by those. And then after you've selected your top 3, what I want you to do is to share those with me. And so you'll see on the screen, I've got a GIF that is repeating here, and you can email those to me, wm@sodiumhalogen.com. And then I'll take a look at those and kind of reach out to you about those and maybe ask you some questions or just kind of see. But regardless, then you'll have an email. You can look into your sent mail later on and see the 3 ideas, your 3 best ideas that you came up with for customer service. And so hopefully what we've done with that is you've come up with at least one good idea that could help accomplish a goal that you have in your organization. So with that, congratulations, you guys are all creative. And so it's really, I know that some of you may already think that you are creative and some of you may not have thought that you were creative, but really you and your customers have problems that creativity and technology can solve. And so those might be things like hitting your sales goals or growing the number of expanding your reach that you have or solving whatever that problem is. And then hopefully this also encourages you that you and your team can come up with creative ideas, right? Really all you need is just kind of a framework to be able to do this. And so maybe what you're thinking is, okay, well, I have my team members come to me and they have ideas, but they're not very good ideas, William. So maybe they've got product and service ideas, or maybe they take kind of 30 minutes rambling along, coming up with something that's kind of a half-baked idea and it's not actually actionable. So, but what if you were able to hear solid service and product ideas and they would be pitched to you in under 5 minutes? So if somebody came to you, one of your team members came to you and said, hey, I've got an idea. I've thought through a bunch of stuff on it and I want to talk with you for 5 minutes to see if it's a good idea or not. Probably if you're a good manager of people, then you would have 5 minutes to listen to that idea, especially if you knew that there was a framework that they were following and they had a process that helped them pull those ideas out of their head and vet those. So that's really where our design-tific method comes in. And so I've got 2 options for you here. One of them is, if you're wanting to accomplish this, an innovation workshop. And so this is us kind of taking the ideas that we have, that we use internally, and using these exercises to lead your team through learning how to be more innovative. They can come up with new service and product ideas because they'll have a framework that walks them through the process. Just like when you guys were going through the Brainstorm app, it was showing you each thing to do, each step along the way. So it'll help your team come up with ideas. They can vet those ideas. They can think about the impact it will have on your bottom line, the investment that might be necessary in order to create this product or this service. And the best thing is that they can pitch it in 5 minutes. Another thing I love about this, and I heard this weekend from my daughter, she said, just because you say it louder doesn't make it more important. That is an actual quote from my daughter to my son. And I thought that was great because it reminded me that sometimes sometimes you have team members that are kind of quiet, but they have great ideas. They just need a way to kind of unlock and give the confidence that they need to share ideas with their team. It could make a huge impact on your business. So super quickly, innovation workshop, what we'll do is walk through all of these different things. We'll think about who your customer is, the problem that is being solved for that customer, what the solution might be, how your team could create a product or service that would solve that problem. We'll encourage them to come up with a partner within the organization to vet this idea so they're not doing it on their own. They're working with a teammate. They'll think about the stakeholder, which is probably going to be the manager that's going to be either giving the thumbs up or the thumbs down to this idea. They'll go ahead and think about some questions that might be asked by that stakeholder. They'll think about the value and the cost of what it would take to do this and what might be on the other end of them creating this product or service. What would it mean to the bottom line? Come up with a quick roadmap of things that they could do. And then another thing I'm really excited about is coming up with an experiment. Say, this is an idea. We think it might be good. Here's a small thing we could do to see if we're headed in the right direction. And if not, then we'll come up with another idea, or we'll abandon this one, or we'll adjust it until it does make sense. And they'll go ahead and identify what success looks like. And then they'll practice it, right? They're going to practice doing this 5-minute pitch before they go and pitch it to the decision maker. And this is something that we dog food ourselves. So this is a term that comes from Silicon Valley, where you're using the product you're creating. And so our team uses the innovation workshop. Our team comes up with ideas, and they go through this process before they bring it to Chance or myself to see if the idea is any good. So that's one option. The other option is, if you want to kind of do it yourself, then you can sign up for our mailing list of ideas. And so this is where there's going to be one video that's sent out to you each week for almost an entire year. You're going to get different ideas. It's 100% completely free. And so this would be a great gateway drug, I guess, maybe. Maybe I feel a little uncomfortable about using that term as I think about it. This is not recorded, right, Alexis? I'm just kidding. So you can watch these videos, and hopefully that you'll get some value out of that. And then if you're thinking, okay, I would like for us to really incorporate this into our business, then you can do that. And if you can't remember the name of the crazy company that said they were the weird dwarf, then you can always go to the ATA site, and you can see there's where we're listed underneath the services for software design and development. That's us, Sodium Halogen. So I think that was exactly 30 minutes if we got started right at 11:03, Alexis. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or how we want to handle the end of this, but if you have some questions, let me know.
Thank you, William. Yeah, you can drop a question in the chat if you have one. Thank you for this brainstorm tool and encouraging us to be innovative. We will have a quarterly business insight in the next few months. So it will be listed on our website. It will be listed on social media and also emailed out to you. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to email William or myself, and we can get it taken care of. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.